we need to update the foundational stage students according to the AIL process art integrated course, and it could be the stage wide, phases wide could be there, means learning through the arts, that is very important, and it could be all levels of schooling. But in today's session we will discuss about the foundational stage. It could be at the upper classes also, but in today's session we will only discuss about the foundational stage, because art integrated learning is the experiential in nature and it makes the imagination, that is important, including imagination, emotional strength is there. That's why we need to have the visualization and performing arts to understand and learn the different subjects at the foundational stage. And at this age we need to update the children with the age, social context, ability, stage-wise objectivity, and learning through the integration in numerous sectors. That could be the understanding of the concept and other accommodation of learners at pre-primary stage. So when we talk about the foundational stage of AIL, art integrated learning, it could be both highly inquisitive and energetic. That is very relevant to the children, and we could develop the creativity among the students, like different segment of activities as drawing, painting, clay work, music, engaging them in other different parts, and that could be the foundational stage of the learning process through the arts through the arts. That is very important, and the objective is very clear regarding the children's maximum participation is needed to make the learning joyful. That is very important, including the joyful learning. It should be in the form of engaging them also, and encourage our children to avoid their environment through the keen observation and unhindered exploration. They must have to allow their emotional expression, communication to create the environment, and other part of also, that is the facilitate, because as a teacher our role is what? As a teacher, including the teacher, we all are the facilitator. We need to facilitate these things and develop the art integration in the learning process in various stages. It could be either the foundational stage or the other segments of. Now, why the NEP says about the art integration as art as a culture? Because we have the different aspects of form that could be the basis of the experiences and learning concept, not for the major subjects but for the all. That could be relevant to the art as a culture. Now, why art integrated education has to enable to create the first thing, that could be the joyful classroom. When we have our education system through the art integrated process, art integrated learning process, it will create the classroom in a joyful manner, and the result is that every student is able to get everything in the form of the dance, in the form of the painting, in the form of the culinary art, and so on. And that could be embedded the classroom transactions in the ethos, and it could be the learning process at different segments of the layer, and it could be also having the experiences to joy and eagerness to learn. That is the very important point. Again, we have the child's curiosity, imagination, sense of wonder, and discover the concept of the different subjects in the form of the mathematics, in the form of the science, and what could be the all around that. It could be the interdisciplinary connections, enhance our keen observation, exploration, free expression, and foster of inquisitive to regulate our emotions. That is very, very important. Now, why we need to integrate the art in education? That is very, very important. So the first point could be make the learning joyful. When we have the different approaches, and it could be in the different form, that could be in the WH form, what, why, how, when, whom. This could be all, because when we have the one project, suppose that in a classroom 40 students have mingled towards the art integrated form for the particular class, means one idea, I mean one task is there, but for one task each individual talent is there, and they have the different segments of their thought, their ideas, and other part of the segment that could be only to get benefited to make the learning in the form of the joyful. Then second point is the help visualization. When we have the visual arts in the form of the, when they will have the painting of the particular any program or anything, it could be have the numerous questions that how could we prepare, how could we draw this picture, and what could be the relevancy for that. So it could be the maximum questions arises, and it could be the learning process through the visual of the art. The next point is the escape from rote methods. When we promote the rote methods, it could not be effective. But the scenario of the present context means we need to follow the CBE pattern, that is competency based education, and it could be either the form of the creative and critical thinking, either the form of the other segment like the learning by doing in the form of the experiential learning, and so on. So the maximum things is what we need to aloof the rote learning process from the present scenario of the learning, and only our objective could be clear through these things, either to develop the creativity, to develop the critical thinking level, to develop the PBL, problem based learning, and so on. And that could be the relevancy of the children, and it could be effective. So art integration is needed in the learning process in different stages, like the foundational stages, then the secondary and secondary and other part of segments of also, because it promotes and it develops the multidisciplinary links. If the child have the multidisciplinary talent, it could be in the form of the visualization of the art, it could be the different segments of art integration through the different subjects in the different scenarios, and only we have after integrating the art, it could be the develops the maximum inquiry, because one idea generate the different segments, and when we have the generating the ideas in the form of the differentiation, it could be the different numerous questions could be there, and finally it inculcates the respect for the culture and heritage. The same thing, when we want to learn our culture and heritage of our identity for the particular community, for the particular society, we can adjust these things through the art, and it could be effective when they know the exactly what is going on the particular segment of the society, what could be their culture and heritage for the different parts, that is relevancy for that. Now this is the art culture model. If we have the mathematics, it could be the languages, it could be the science, social science, environmental science, and so on. So we need to add, where the learning becomes fun, the classroom activity is going on, it could be the maximum output, and our learning objective, learning outcome should be effective. So we need to aloof from the traditional pattern of learning process, and through that we have to promote our children in the arts using the teaching concept, using the learning methodology, using the tool as the environmental things, and teacher's role is now a facilitator at the live classroom. When they have the fun, they have the identity, they have the different segments of activities, because activity learning, when we promote the activity ABL learning in the classroom, it includes the promotion of the inclusive learning process. And again, when they will busy, when they will engage themselves in enjoying the visual art, it could be, suppose that we want to have the class outside the class. When we have the class outside the class, we need to promote in the different segments. Suppose that I want to teach the mathematics outside the class. So for teaching the mathematics, we need to promote our children in the different shapes and sizes. We can make have the mathematics Vatika, and that could be the exploration of the creativity and critical thinking of the different fine motors. So this could be the model, and the model is the art, culture and modality using the different assembly formation, the concept and other scenarios of the part. That could be the approaches of teaching and learning in an effective way, because effective teaching is necessary. Unless we don't have the effective teaching, we cannot connect, because two things always keep in your mind as a teacher, as a facilitator. We need to promote our children in two segments. The first is the connect and second is the correct. So unless we connect the student, we cannot correct them. So first and foremost thing is what? We need to connect them first. And how can we connect? Through the different segments of the activity-based learning, through the different segments of the art integration learning process at different stages, and then only can develop the effective classroom teaching, either the classroom and outside the classroom. That is the beneficial of all the stages, and it could be develop the strategies of implementation in a different segment, like the exploration, understanding, fostering the questioning and creating awareness and rich heritage cultural activity in diversity of our country, and the other segment of the culture and the society where they live, and what are their different domains of the society and cultural heritages. That could be the form of the exploration. And when we discuss the different, suppose that we will discuss the art of our state Bihar to the other state, means what? We need to have the different domains of projects, and to do the project for different two states culture and heritage, we need to explore the ideas, the things that which could be in the form of the different part, and it could be maximum helpful through the art integrated learning. So AIL, when we involve AIL in our learning process, the maximum output and learning objectivity should be clear in the different scenarios. Now, art and culture transforming the urban India. How art and culture transform our developed the countries, I mean urban country. The first is the, for an educationist, it should always be the way to understand the world. That is very important. When we have the any art form of the culture, art form of the heritage, we need to know about the reality and the sequential of learning process through the understanding of the particular culture, particular heritage of the world. And again, it illuminates the inner lives and enriches the emotional world. That is also important. So for that, it could be taught in the foundational stage. That could be the art and culture. It could be evaluated and national resources. And for teaching, I mean as a teacher, not for the foundational stage at school level, but also the colleagues, the university level, inside the art, culture and infrastructure of the country should be there. And when we overlook the different art culture of the things, that could be the different segments to understand the world through the art and culture. Now, Role and preparedness of art teachers in art integrated learning. What could be the possible consequences and role of the art teachers when we add the AIL through the art teachers? The first point we need to discuss, that is the role of an art teacher is a facilitator. We all are the facilitator. We need to facilitate the things in the different segments of the stages, and basically when we address the primary stage, art should be integrated with all subjects, and it could be have the different approaches for teaching and learning of the different concept and other things behind. The art teachers must be trained to understand the what exactly pedagogy of the learning process through the art integrated learning could be there, and for that we have to differentiate art as a subject and art as a tool, because when we have the culinary art of the student, they will develop their one more segment of art in the form of the tool, and they will able to make the different variety of food items by their own through art. That could be also the form of the art integration, and it could be defined, it could be linked as a tool. That is very important, and we must have to have the teaching and learning of the different subjects in different scenario as a subject, as a tool. Both should be there, and finally we need to hold the readily and happily the part as a team, or the teaching for the fraternity of the subjects could be able to intervene the plans in the form of the art education to the core subject. So we can add the art subjects to the core. How? We can add, we can have apply the art integration learning through the different course to develop the planning of activities, to develop the planning of time, planning of resources, and using the pedagogical tools to have the stakeholders and the students to develop the understanding level, to develop the skills and other implementation of the observation regarding the different scenarios of planning that could be very relevancy to the text. And once the teacher begins to utilize the art integrated learning methodology, he or she would need and what the dynamicity of the planning, it could be resolved, and that could be required for the subject matter in a spontaneous relationship to identify the different modes of methodology using different technologies, techniques, and engage all the children in a group activities, that is in the form of the AIL through the art teachers as a facilitator, and the other preparation of the combination to behind the children responses and what could be their journey of task. It could be the manner and focusing on the process, not for the product. Again we have the trained mass that could be in the form of the relevancy, and what could be the roadmap for that, for to develop the roadmap for AIL through the art teachers. It should be the every school shall compulsory reserve minimum 2 periods and class for art education. That is very important. We also have the roadmap to make at least 2 periods in a day for the art education, and it could be integrated in the different teaching and learning capacity of capabilities from grade 1 to 12, not for the foundational stage but also other stage also, but here we need to maximize using the foundational stage, and through the arts curriculum students will able to introduce the artistic tradition of the country. So the different means could be effective not for the teaching and learning process. It could be the identity of the particular country may be resolved and to get the information through the different art, culture and art integrated learning process for the transition of the country. And that's why it should be cover the music, dance, visual arts, theater, skit, which also include the written, the graphic, digital, cinematic, and including the culinary art, as there is no better way to learn about the value of tasty and nutritious food, about the crops, spices of our country, than through the medium of learning to the coffee. And it could be recommended to 6 to 8, that it could be the upper primary, and introduce the culinary art to the various food groups, spices, cooking styles, and so on. Now, from STEM to STEM, what is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But it could be changes in the STEM: science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So, culinary arts integrated contributions of much broader learning process, and we have to get to fore to the prominent role. And suppose that we have the question for the students, and we can create the fun and say the student that we had fun baking and eating the coffees together, but this will also more culturally aware. It helped me to Middle East in different light. So we could have the maximum resolvement of the things and the subjects to purpose of the art integration learning from classes 1 to 3 first, then 4 to 5, and then it should be the percentage of the 17 to 18 according to the NCF 2025, so 2005. And when we talk about the upper, this could be the pre-primary, but when we have the upper primary level, it could be the upper stage emphasis, and it could be laid down to the imagination and development of the creativity of the student according to the culinary laid down, and imagination could be addressed naturally, effective, and focusing on the process of not process but the product. And classroom should be taken care again with, we have the children are allowed to use the diverse method of the forms to get the material and avoid the monotonous. And again, children are provided with the different segments of opportunities to interact with local and regional transitions of the accommodating them to the different incorporated, extended, and experiences through the connectivity and concept of the techniques to engage them in a group activity, and so on, to guide, to review the children responses and journey on the track. That could be the expressions of ideas and emotions, that could be in the form of the natural color. And again, we have to identify the methods and the ways of the teachers which could be teaching and learning through the art integrated learning. Now, book report means what could we do? We can have the, in this report, they can make the significant days and mentioned in the bouquet, and the photographs, exhibited food or photo gallery of the school. So when we have this type of art education in the learning process, the maximum benefits are what? They will able to learn the things, and they have the practical segments of knowledge, because they have the practical things, they have the learning by doing another segments of the part. Now, time period meals. In this history or language arts activity, they will explore that particular time, and they will bring the various dishes to the present and we eat with them accordingly. Sir, wait for the response. I will take your questions at the end of the session. Please wait. I will take your questions, sir. I will take your queries. No problem. Now, restaurant small business report. What could be in this simple economics projects? They will create the restaurant, the waffles, the coffees, shops, pizza shop, and it could be when they have the art form it throughout the learning in the basis of the art integrated learning. They will shop and they will present the business plan with their classmates, with their partners, providing samples of the food, their shop, and they can sell. So these are the benefit, extra benefit of having the art, talent of the art, and according to the talency of the particular art, they could create the learning process in the different segments. Again, we have the extension of the experiences to be concept and creativity in the form of the domains that could be in the planning and economical, reusable, and when we have the proper planning of the art integrated learning through the various experiences, it could be the regular research form, extensive grant work, create a rich repository which could include the regional level and the state level and finally have the national level of the paucity of the time to create the mindfulness and joyful to experiences through the interest time slotting such as availability of the content and learning outcomes through the AI learning process at foundational stage. So when we raise to forums and other local community, that could be the form of the providing the samples to the classmates, resources, and so on. It could be including the especially of the practicality and discourage the presentation of the classroom when they have the time management and time sufficient, and it could be in the form of the assessment also. So when we assess our things in the art integrated learning, that could be help to integrate the learning process to helping them as a facilitator to move away from the traditional paper pencil presentation, oral, continuous and comprehensive assessment, that is CC pattern, and it could be based on the problem based learning, situation based learning. Again, we have the critical and creative thinking, and so on. It could be displaced in the various kinds of diversity when they're forming the group as a group. They could be resolve the things in a competency most learning through the different sources of interaction and intellectual property that could be key to understanding of classroom management, assessment of AI learning, and children at foundational stage, they are ready to resonate themselves through the experiential learning approaches, and at this stage all education be through the arts only. That is very very important. All education should be through the arts. The objectivity of the child's participation in a different mode maybe the make the learning joyful and engaging first, then encourage our children, encourage our students to aware their environment through the keen observation, unhindered exploration, promote sensitivity towards the nature, towards the environment, facilitating the children in the different expression of the spontaneous member to understand the concept and other part. So when we have the social science activity, they will have the various contingent represent dishes and discuss their classmate. Again, we can visit www.foodbycountry.com it is an excellent resource for learning about how a country food is determined by economic, geographic and historical influences. So please mention this website and we can generate the determination of the influences in the form of the economic level, in the form of the geographic and historical part of the also, and they will discuss with their partners. That is very important. Now food painting, that is very important. What is food painting? In this history or art activity, they can study the substances, how can they paint the different cultures. Suppose that at foundational stage I'm talking, when we project, when we have the task of the children that please draw a mango. After drawing the picture of the mango, what they do? They will color. So task is one, to draw a mango. And after drawing the different approaches in different segments of the ideas in the form of the different approaches of the students, some will make the big size of the mango, some will make the small size of mango, some will have the perfect exact drawing or the picture of the mango, some will have the less and size will be big or small. It could be the different spec, but the purpose is what? When we have the different segment of ideas for one platform, means at least we can discuss the different segments from our students to give, to provide the opportunities at the level of the food painting, food making and creating creativity and critical thinking among the students. That is the purpose. And when we have any art and craft and heritage work by our students, they can paint, they can draw, we can discuss the art gallery, the heritage of the particular community and countries. That could be form of the preventing of the AIL through the different approaches and through the different segment of the things. And it could be also giving the examples to present or actually paint with, and this could be the culture and ethnic foods to a new level. So we could promote the food painting in our classroom also. Next activity is the food photography. What students do in food photography? In this activity, they will have learned how to have the photographs of the different art form of the food. They prepare the dishes in the different stages of the segments, the light and photographs of the dishes. It could be in the form of the approaches in a different manner or a different mode. They could be laid down the things in the form of the food photography, and it could be building of the connections. That could be the heritage, clay modeling and schooling of the art integration learning through the nature, through the food part of the beverages and items. What we need to explore and discover the new things after fostering and understanding the attitudinal problems of the heritages and cultural diversity. That is also important through the skill of the language, through problem solving, appreciating the different possibilities, meaningful and interdisciplinary art at the pre-primary, foundational stage and upper stages level. Now, cultural food in a theater. So when we have the theater, students are often taught to explore the character of the particular segment, and researching the food of a character's life is an excellent way to the truly understanding specific culture, time, period and the own experiences. That could be building of the sensitivity and artistic skills day to day, to have the activities of rich heritage and culture heritage. Now, some suggested work of art integrated learning activity. So please go through this picture. This is for grade pre or primary section because we are talking about today's session at foundational stage. So when just go through the picture, that is the artwork of the student. Alphabet is written here, but alphabet is written not in a simple manner. It could be the art form. The art and drawing of the student, the colorness of the students is done by the particular segment of the ideas of different ways. So when we project the alphabetical in a normal way, including the artwork, this could be effective and they will have the keen observation that what could be the possible consequences and other parts regarding the artwork. Freedom of imagination brings innovation because every individual mindset is different discretion, they have their own ideas. So the project work and any artwork is one, but when the target is one, the different scenario, different segments of artwork, it could be in the form of the ideas and it should be developed the other art segments and effective work of the children when they have the projection of the work through their own mindset, imagination, and that imagination could be in the form of the innovation. That is also very, very important. Now, this could be also, that is the art integrated learning activities, break, clock, fall. So what images speak? Break. Expression is also a part of communication. When we express ourselves, because communication is a two-way process and coder and decoder should be there. So when we have our expression in the form of the communication, maybe we can speak, maybe we can have gesture and postures and other activities part of the things that could be the different AIL learning objective, and it could be only having to create the mindfulness and other sensitiveness of the interconnection of the children between the concept, between the learning environment and some other concept of the academic content meaningfully enhance their capability to skill work, and the objectivity of AIL should be effective at the primary level, upper primary level and other segment of stages that could be secondary to senior secondary also. So we need to promote these things in the form of the art integrated learning process. Now see this activity, this could be form of the primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then the second part, third part, fourth part and fifth part. So we have the different segments of activities and the motto is what? Art integrated learning in one segment in different scenarios. So even something as objectivity of numbers, we can have many possibilities. All answers are correct, all are in sequential form, but the way of expression is different, way of writing, way of teaching methodology is different. So motto should be one, but the way communication could be in the different segments, and that's why we need to promote the primary stages should be integrated in the approaches of teaching and learning of different concepts, and not only for the children but also for the parents and teachers. As a facilitator, we need to express our ideas and emotions first. After getting the ideas and emotions, we need to develop all the senses through the keen observation, because keen observation is very, very mandatory. When we have the keen observation, to have creating the curiosity, exploration, a spontaneous expression and so on at the beginning of the stage, and that could be enhance the communication skills, language skill, problem solving, to explore the critical and creativity and develop their fine motor skills regarding the art education in the form of the AIL, that could be art integrated learning, to the different approaches of conceptual learning through the teaching and learning process. Now, this could be also the art integrated learning, that could be the primary stage. Here the new numbers are written there, but numbers are not in a simple way or simple manner. They could be in the form of the art. So when we project the things in the art form, the simple thing could be have the developed part. That could be in the form of the drawing, painting, folding, and even the with the numbers also. So that could be beneficial because this is the demand of the NEP 2020, and we must have to follow, we must have to regulate at least 2 periods in a day in our school to develop the AIL learning process among the students in different scenarios, different segments and other part of the members. Now, some suggested art activities through the learning process, and this is for upper primary. So when we concept to cover, what could we do? We could focus on the line. As a mathematics, we are discussing line, line segment, ray, intersecting, parallel, perpendicular, right angle, obtuse angle, acute angle, triangle and square. So these are the conceptual things. But when we add these conceptual things in the form of the art integrated learning, in the form of the practicality, in the form of the practicals, learning by doing with the help of experiential learning, it could be no limitations, but we need to restrict the them to develop in a different segment and scenarios at different stages, as we could develop in the suggested projectives or of the art integrated learning objective. So mindset is there, limitations is there, but there is no any particular restrictions. When we have the restrictions, we need to promote the restrictions. It could create the crime and other segments of the life. So as facilitator, we need to promote these things in a very effective manner for the students and the other segments of the part. Now, first one is, tell me the picture. What does the first picture shows? Pentagon and nature in geometry, patterns and numbers. We need to promote in mathematics the pattern process of the numbers, and we can also have the geometrical, the GPI and the part which could be effective, that could be the hexagonal and the gridding system, not formally the common segment. It could be in the final establishment of the activity learning project and AIL learning, art integrated learning, through the culture of the art, through the dancing of the art, through the heritage and other segments of our culture. That could be the relevancy of the nature also, and nature could be formed with the different segments of the things. Now, some suggested art integrated learning activities, and that could be the simple wood blocks. You can connect the maths in numbers, physics. In physics, what could we do? The balance, inertia, strength. So these are also the means of the learning process through the different pictures, through the different art culture, different art segments. We can add the learning process in different core subjects, either the mathematics, either the chemistry, either the physics, either the biology and society and other part. So when we talk about the chemistry, the different colors are there, and when the different colors mingle with one another, they could approach the different segments of the part. That could be non-toxic, affordable, easy to find and so on. So relevancy should be there, as a teacher, as a facilitator with the children, we need to promote these things in a different segments of the things that could be effective in form of the expression, in the form of the exploration, creativity, and develop the fine motor skills. We can develop the skills without developing of the skill, fine motor skill among the students. They are not thinking over the things which could be in the form of the part that could be the wooden blocks, and it could be non-toxic to affordable, easy to find, and so on. Now, when we have the grade upper primary and senior secondary, it could be the form of the drama, theater, and what could involves? It involves the storytelling. It could be the acting, body movement, sound, music, space manipulation, set up proper designing, and they will have the showcase with a wide variety of subject to understanding level of the children, and when they will because the intellectual purposes which could be effective in the different segment of the theater, drama, and sound music system.